You work hard, you save, and your money still crawls like it has ankle weights on. Then, almost overnight, it looks like other people's accounts explode while yours barely blinks. Here's the twist you were never shown in school. You don't need better luck, you need a better slope. Today you'll see the exact moment when compounding flips from, "Is this even working?" to, "Wait, this feels like cheating." And yes, by the end, you'll have a simple system to push your money up that slope, even if you're starting small. Quick intro so you know you're in the right place. I'm Harry, and a few years ago I was the person refreshing my balance hoping for miracles. If you're tired of slow progress, I get it. What changed for me, and what will change for you, isn't hype or some secret stock. It's a series of tiny moves that stack faster than you think. You're not broken. The game is just slow at the start. Harry felt that drag for years, staring at $50 deposits like they were raindrops in a desert. But when I stopped chasing big wins and focused on predictable habits, my curve bent upward so sharply it felt unfair. And that is exactly what you're about to engineer for yourself. If you've asked, how much is enough to feel the shift? I'll show you the number and the timeline most people miss. Stay with me. Here's the emotional trap. You deposit, you wait, nothing happens, you quit. The reason is that compounding is slow until it isn't. Picture pushing a snowball. For a long time, it's just cold hands and tiny gains. Then, because mass compounds, the roll gets easier. The speed feels supernatural. Money does that too. It's not magic. It's math colliding with consistent behavior. So when do you feel it? For most people, the psychological tipping point is when growth in a single year equals several months of your contributions. If you put in $300 a month, the "this is working" moment is when your growth covers, say, March through June by itself. That typically shows up after 2 to 5 years of steady deposits, depending on your rate, the market, and fees. You can't control markets, only deposits, costs, and time. Harry's turning point arrived when growth in one quarter matched half a year of deposits. That wasn't luck. It was lower fees, real automation, and unbroken momentum. Once contributions became a schedule, compounding finally had something consistent to multiply. Here's how you create the same slope. Here's how you copy it today. I didn't start rich. Harry didn't start rich. Harry started consistent. I set a weekly, boring transfer into a high-yield savings account for short-term goals and an automatic monthly investment into low-cost index funds for the long game. I set alerts so I couldn't forget. I wrote down a target time horizon, not a fantasy number, a date. Then I got out of the way and let math work. You can copy this even if you're behind. The magic isn't a stock pick, it's the compounding of behavior. Harry's progress is just proof that your tiny choices are not tiny after a while. Your life, your values, your income, those define the pace. The system stays the same. Here's the part that shocks people. Compounding pays you twice, first with dollars, then with decisions. As your curve bends, your options multiply. That's when it starts to feel unfair, in a good way. The 3-part compounding system. Part 1. Foundation that doesn't break. Before you pour gasoline on growth, remove the leaks. Build a 1-month emergency fund, then grow it to 3 to 6 months. Keep it in high-yield savings so it's accessible. Kill toxic, high-interest debt. Use Snowball for quick wins or Avalanche for math efficiency. Pick one and commit. Part 2. Make sabotage impossible. Automate 2 streams. 1. A weekly transfer toward short-term peace. 2. A monthly investment into broad index funds via dollar-cost averaging. Keep fees low. Align deposits with your payday so it's invisible. The hardest part, remembering, vanishes, freeing your head to earn more and enjoy life. For you, that's the unlock to consistency. Part 3. Let allocation grow with you. Choose an asset allocation that matches your risk tolerance and time horizon. Stocks for growth, bonds for stability. Adjust as your goals approach. Once a year, schedule rebalancing. Just nudge back to target. Inside this system, you'll feel 3 accelerators kick in. More principal, your automatic deposits accumulate. Better behavior. Automation prevents "I'll start again next month" delays. That's classic behavioral finance. Design beats discipline. Reflected growth. Once dividends and gains reinvest, growth creates growth. If this is clicking, tell me one tiny move you'll automate this week. If it helped, hit like so the algorithm shows it to someone who needs the nudge. Let me be crystal clear. Nothing here is guaranteed. Markets wiggle. Life happens. That's why the goal is not perfection. It's margin. The more margin you build, the less fragile you feel. Here's how you engineer that unfair feeling without gambling. Pre-commit your next raise. Decide now that 50% of any raise or new income automatically increases your investment. That one decision accelerates your curve more than any hot tip. When your paycheck grows, so do your deposits. No willpower required. Cut friction you can't see. Tiny fees are termites. Move from pricey funds to low-cost index funds. Make sure reinvestment is on. Double-check tax settings. Shift to tax-advantaged accounts where possible, like a Roth IRA, so more of the growth stays yours. Use calendar commitments, not vibes. Put, invest, rebalance, and review goals on dates. Raise contributions each anniversary of your first deposit. The calendar is anti-anxiety. Treat these like dentist appointments. Unexciting, non-negotiable. Stack identity, not just habits. You're not trying to save. You are a person who pays yourself first. I never say, I'll try to invest. I say, I am an investor who runs a simple system. That language prevents panic switches during rough weeks. You can claim that identity today, right now. Make time your ally. The only irreplaceable input is time. Start imperfect and fix it while moving. The earlier you begin, the sooner you cross the line where growth outruns contributions. And that's when your net worth climbs even on sleepy months. Harry's biggest regret wasn't a bad stock. It was waiting 2 years to automate. Don't repeat that. Also, zoom out and watch inflation. Future dollars buy less. Investing, not hoarding, is essential. Cash protects, assets grow. Balance both. Here's your permission slip. You do not need to pick winners. You need to pick a process. When you do, it will feel like you're bending the rules because to most people who are winging it, you are. Your 30-day sprint week 1. Money map and first automation. List your accounts and balances. Circle anything charging more than you must. Open a high-yield savings account if you don't have one. Move your starter emergency buffer there. Create a tiny weekly automatic transfer. $10, $20, $50. It's about identity first, dollars second. Week 2. Invest on rails. Choose a low-cost broad market fund. Turn on dollar-cost averaging with a date tied to payday. Write your asset allocation. 80-20 or 70-30 works for long timelines. Enable automatic dividends reinvestment. That's where your snowball gains wait. Week 3. Fees, taxes, and protection. Replace expensive funds with low-cost index funds if needed. Contribute to tax-advantaged accounts you're eligible for. Workplace plan. HSA. Roth IRA. Review insurance. Freeze your credit. Week 4. Raise the floor. Pre-commit half of any raise or side income to your investment. Put it in writing. Future, you will thank you. Schedule your annual rebalancing. Celebrate the setup. Small ritual. Big reinforcement. I ran this sprint in a chaotic season, not a perfect one. That's why it worked for me. You can too, starting tonight with that tiny weekly transfer. Once your habits exist, your accounts will grow even when your willpower is tired. That's the unfair part. If you want me to break down sample allocations by age or goal in a future video, comment breakdown so I know to make it for you. One day you'll log in and see that your growth, just the growth, paid for your month's rent, or your car insurance, or a weekend away. That's the psychological flip. It happens when 3 forces line up. Contributions are consistent, fees are minimal, and time has had enough runway. Harry's first no way moment was when a boring quarter outgrew months of deposits. Yours is coming sooner than you think, because you'll know what to look for. Don't overcomplicate this with charts you don't need. Focus on the levers you control. Compounding is the quietest teammate you'll ever have. It whispers early, it shouts later. And if you keep showing up, it will shout for you. If you've been waiting for the perfect time, this is it. Not because markets are up or down, but because your next 10 years just got one day shorter. Here's your next step while the motivation is warm. I went from anxious to accelerating by automating tiny amounts, cutting invisible costs, and letting time do the heavy work. You can copy that tonight. Open your Notes app and write, "I pay myself first." Set a $20 weekly transfer to your high-yield savings or brokerage, done in 2 minutes. On your next payday, start a small dollar-cost averaging investment into a low-cost index fund that matches your risk tolerance and time horizon. Put rebalance in 12 months on your calendar and forget about it. Do those 4 steps and DM future you a thank you, because that's the moment your slope changes. When the line bends, it won't feel fair, it'll feel earned, and the best part? You'll be the one who made it happen. This video is for education, not financial advice. Investing involves risk, and no return is guaranteed. Do your own research or consult a qualified advisor before making decisions.